All right, hi everybody, this is Heath again with another Tech Talk. What we have going on today is we're going to be doing some just thinking about prints of how to optimize ink output, how to get the best look of a print, and how to use the least amount of ink as possible to get a good desirable result. Okay, so let's just get into this. One of the first things I want to talk about is the difference between these cues. I hear this a lot on the support tickets and stuff like that. That when people look at these cues, they take them literally. All right, so they put all their black shirts in the black cues, all their color shirts in the color shirt cues, and all of the whites in the whites. Those are just names that we use. Okay, there's nothing on your machine that has an eyeball that says you have to print these in this. I can print a color shirt in the white shirt cue. I can print a color shirt in the black shirt cue. I just have to know what those predefined settings do to my graphic by putting them inside those cues. Okay, so let's review over this. I'm going to switch over here to my RIP software real quick. Let's go ahead and I'll turn my camera off so that way you can just see my screen. We're going to open up our RIP software. And a lot of these themes will be some of the same setting names and stuff like that will be the same for the Viper 2 as it is for the M2. So no worries about it if you have a different machine. The only thing that's going to really look different is the platen setup here. Instead of it being in line on top of each other, they're side by side. Okay. So from here, we're going to look at these different names right here. These are our categories. All right. So you have black shirts, color shirts, white shirts, and white ink only. The dual CMYK, your machine has to be specially set up for that. You would only be able to print light-colored garments with no white ink involved. So we're not going to really touch on that too much. So that's a specialty machine or a specialty setup. All right, now going back over here, we have these four main categories. All right, these two are self-explanatory. White ink only. No matter what you send to it, it will print in only the 4 channels of white on your machine, whether it be the 4 white cartridges or the 4 white dampers that are going into your printhead. All right, the white shirt cue turns off all the white and only prints with color. Okay, so here's a perfect real-world example. All right, you might recognize the the yellow shirt that I brought in earlier. All right. That typical is that bright fluorescent, really school bus yellow. Those will be used for staff shirts. And usually you only have black ink or black going on that. So staff and black going across the front or the back shoulder or whatever it may be. If you do have a question or something like that, go ahead and type that out on the questions box so that way I can see it, and then we can go from there. Okay, so now we're going to explain the difference of how I would handle that. All right. So let's go back and I'll continue on with these different categories. Like the white shirts, basically cue only prints with colored ink. The color shirt cue and the black shirt cue print with an underbase, meaning that it prints white ink in one pass and then puts color on it in a second pass. Okay, so now let me switch back over here at my camera. All right, say I get an order for a festival, and they want staff shirts to go across the front here. All right, so I have a nice yellow shirt. What cue should I print this in? Should I print it in the color cue or the white cue? Because it's not a white shirt, so that's a good example of it. The only difference is do I want to put white ink on this shirt? Do I need to? You've got to analyze your graphic and determine this, and that's the best way to do it. So if I'm thinking about this, the color black will make any color blacker. All right, so even if I wanted to print black onto a black shirt, it will still show that black ink. So, but do I need to underbase it? All right, so am I going to try to block out the color underneath it? Black will make anything blacker. So no, technically I do not need white ink underneath this unless I wanted that ink to sit on top of the fabric. All right, so we'll do 2 different versions of it. And we'll also, with the timer, if you just look at your clock, you can see how long it takes to do an underbase print versus one without an underbase print. Okay? So I've already got this one pre-treated and pre-pressed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my platen out here. me actually show this for people who haven't gone through this yet. Very similar to the Viper 2. The great thing about the M2 is that you can, it's modular. So you can move these around. You can already have some preloaded and everything like that. All right. So let's go ahead and hoop the shirt. It's kind of easy on this one because we can take this, drape it to the sides, and make sure that it hangs properly. Okay. And then we tuck. A little bit easier, in my opinion. Okay, so now we've got that all hooped. Spin it around, tuck it in. Now it's ready to go. So we have an automatic gapping sensor. Push this over so you can see it. So I can hold the up button until it stops. Let go, stop levels. Go ahead and catch the load. Sucks it into the machine. Now it's in the ready to print stage. All right. So let's see here. So now that we know we've got our shirt loaded and everything like that, I'm going to switch back over here to my RIP software, and I'll get this set up so when I switch back on, you can kind of see it. Okay, that's a good angle right there. All right. For the people that just joined, we are going through, and the version of this tech talk, or the name of this tech talk is prints that are a little bit faster and using less ink. So it's basically how to optimize your prints for whatever you're printing to. All right, so from here, we've decided that we're going to do staff shirts on this yellow shirt, typical order that you would get from any client. All right, so we're going to print it in a couple different versions to see if you can tell the difference of what would be the most profitable. Okay, so in my opinion, I think if we had to do multiple passes on that, that would be the least profitable because it takes more time and it's more ink involved. But we need to see what it looks like as well. All right, so let me turn off my camera here. And we're going to go to the screen. We're going to go back down here to Photoshop real quick. And we're going to create a little just staff logo. Like I said, if anybody has questions in the meantime or some kind of issue that they're having with their system, you can fill that out in the questions field anytime you like. Okay, let me do this so it's off of my good meeting right there. Fill up the screen. Okay, so let's do File, New. I'm going to do 300 DPI. Cover our sweet spot, switch to inches. All right, we will do the width at like 11, height at 8.5. It's like a piece of paper turned size. To give me enough space to play around. All right, so now we're going to go over here to my text tool, or I can hit T on my keyboard. Type out staff. That's all right, that's going to be a little bit big for this document. A little of my characters here. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay. Move it down here a little bit so you can see it on screen. We'll change the color to black. All right. So that might play with our eyes a little bit much, but I just wanted just a solid block letter. I think it'll be clearer and easier to kind of read. Let's see. Every font imaginable except what I'm looking for. Let's do bold. There we go. That's a typical stack thing. All right, so we can even bring those letters closer together. Not overlapping. Okay, cool. That looks nice. All right, so we'll hit OK. And we'll just click down here. Now we have stack. All right, so from here, we don't need that turned on, and I don't need that turned on. Let's escape. Make sure those things are turned on right here. All right, there we go. Typical step. All right. So every time that I make a logo, what I like to do is trim the excess document away so that way I don't have to kind of compensate for the sizes and stuff. All right, trim. A staff shirt, I'm not sure what the question is, Jim. What do you consider a staff shirt? Like something that if you were at an event or like a concert or something like that, you got all the guys standing around, they have staff across their shirt or something like that, or volunteer. I guess that answers your question. Okay. So now we have black staff right here. The black is just a typical RGB, all right? So let's see, we got to save this somewhere. Let's go save, and we will save it as staff. Okay. Black. Okay. Now go back to the RIP software. So we're going to go with a more expensive version, which would have been, say, our color shirt cue. Okay. So because the black shirt cue has a feature called not be blackout turned on, so it does not print the black in the design. So that would be self-defeating on a black staff. All right. So from here, we can choose color best or graphics color best. Right. Graphics are always going to be more saturated of a print, whereas the ones without graphics in the name are going to be more photorealistic. So we probably want more saturation on this because it's a solid dark letter. So let's go here to the graphics best cue. All right. I'm going to set this up with the Pro package pricing. This would be retail right here. All right. So we go to $139. If you want to know about the Pro pricing, please get in touch with your salesperson or Coleman & Company, and they can let you know about that. All right, but it definitely reduces your ink prices by about 30%. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and add in that staff shirt, S-T-A-N-O, yes. And we'll click over. Okay, so we're going to leave this at about this height, and we're going to start stacking these things, different versions of it, so you can see it on an actual shirt. And I'm not sure if this has a, you can't tell if it's just my TV or if it's the, can't tell if that has a stroke around it or not. Let me find out. We'll have some turned on there. Let's go here. Color. Oops. This. No, okay, cool. Go back over here. And this is an optical illusion because of screen resolution, I guess. All right, so we'll move this up here to the top. We'll go about a half inch down. We'll do this one as our first one. So 0.5. Get a little bit more than that. That 1 inch. Okay. And then I'm going to change my job properties. And so that way I don't like changing the defaults of the cue. If I wanted to change the defaults before I import an actual image, after I double-click the cue tab, I can change the cue properties. But if I'm just doing something individual, then I can double-click on the job name, and it brings up the job ticket properties. And I can still the same place, the print mode overrides and layer profiles. All right, so now under these layer profiles, let me move this out of the way so that way y'all can see everything. These are basically our default settings for a color shirt. So what I'll do, I would prefer running my choke at about a 5 on an M2, somewhere between 3 and 5 on a Viper 2. But one thing I do want to do is increase white under black. Okay, because that if you don't have white under black, it will be kind of self-defeating because you're white printed in a color shirt cue, but you're not going to print any white underneath. So what we'll do is we'll do about a 50% white under black, so it has an underbase. We're going to print it at 90% of its full capacity of ink underneath it. I made it a quality mode, so it's going to really put down some white underbase. So I just have to just run it and see how it is. Then for my color layer, I'll switch over here. Don't have any highlights or anything like that, so that's fine. Go ahead and hit OK. We'll go ahead and process this. Rip. All right. So this will come up to 7 cents of ink. I want to see if it has its underbase. So here's a diagnostic tool, which a lot of people don't know about. So after the job has been spooled, I can go view the raw data. This little warning screen comes up. It's fine. It doesn't actually represent true color, but it will represent the pixels. All right, so if I turn off layer 2, which is my color layer, you see the white underbase. If I click on layer 2, there's my color. Let me zoom into it. It does look like it has a little bit of white peeking out there, doesn't it? That's strange. All right, but I have to turn the zoom tool off. Let's see. Okay, let me try it and see what happens. If not, I can make a correction. All right, so that would definitely have a white underbase, and I definitely have color on top. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And go ahead and print it. Let's see what this looks like. So it's not very much ink. We're only using a little bit of black, and I'm using about 50% of the white choked to 90% max capacity. Kind of weird. I don't know how that works out. It's like the, you ever remember Anchor Guy? It's like the Panther color. 60% of the time, it works on this one. All right, so let me switch back over here to the camera. All right, you can see that it is printing an underbase. It's a very light underbase because you're printing black. If you try to print 100% white under black, then when you cure that, then the black ink will actually smash together into that white and make it all kind of like dull and kind of spotty looking. So that's why I try not to go above 50% white under black unless I'm doing something specialized. So there you go. So you see the light underbase there, and then it's going to suck it back in and print all these colors. So it's still a pretty fast running shirt and stuff like that, but we're also kind of doing it as a smaller logo as well. What this does by putting an underbase underneath it is it actually kind of lifts the ink up on top of the fabric, so it'll have a little bit more of a hand to it. But in that case, you can also use the print paper to give it kind of a smooth natural finish as well. So like I said, if you're doing a pass of white, a pass of color, that's twice as long. If say you have 500 of these shirts, and each shirt takes, say, 2 minutes, all right, to do the 2 pass, it would take 1 minute to do a single pass. So then, do the math. You just save yourself about 500 minutes worth of work. Okay, but yeah, let's look at it real quick. Still looks pretty good. See if we can get down here on it. Let me lower this down a little bit. See how macro we can get. It's pretty zoomed in. There we go. So, sits up on top of the fabric a little bit. See if I can get it at a different angle. It's catching the light because it's wet. Still looks really good. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll set up the next version. And actually, let's see what happens. So that took probably, at that size, maybe less than a minute to print. So let's see, let's go to the next version. Let's click off of the video. Let's go to the graphics fast. So this is still going to be a 2-pass print, and we're going to do it the exact same way with the same kind of settings there. But I will do it at 100% max ink percentage, but still do it at 50% white under black. So I'll go through that in just a second. All right, we'll go through the staff shirt. Okay. Get this one down to about 4 inches down. Yeah. Click on this one. And the difference between the fast and the best is just print resolution. So the best are printing at 1440 by 720. These are printing at 720 by 720, which in turn uses less ink and prints faster as well. So we'll do 50% under there, 100 there, do 5 for the chip, make a match. Color layer is also at a 720. We'll hit OK. So before, let's go ahead and put this. Okay, it's 5 cents here. So we just shaved an extra 2 cents per print off of this. Times that by 500. I don't want to math right now, but it's about 50 bucks. So I think I did it right. Don't quote me. That's why I'm only a check. All right, so let's get this back and ready. Let's turn the camera back on here. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way for a second and hit play. You can see just by the jumps that it's making of the shirt that it's moving a hell of a lot faster. And then we'll compare the difference between colors once they come out. Yeah, normally when you're printing to lighter garments, but with white ink and stuff, they don't need as much white ink to block out the underneath colors. And sometimes you just have to test on that individual color shirt what's going to be the best looking. So just looking over here, it's kind of hard to tell the difference. And when I was running my print shop and doing my bar shirts and stuff like that, I would always try to print at the fast modes first and let the customer approve it. If the customer wanted it a little bit darker or a little bit deeper, I can use that as an upsell. Yes, I can add more ink onto it, and I can make it a little bit bolder, but that's going to be an extra $1 or $2 per shirt. It's a way to upsell. Time is money. All right, let's see what we got here. Can't really see too much of a difference on this camera here. I mean, let's see if I have a little flashlight or something. I use my phone. How about that? Flashlight. I don't know if y'all can see this. There we go. Yeah, not really. And there's really not that much difference between these two. All right, well, let's find out. Okay, so now we're going to go to the, we're going to try not putting any white ink on there. Okay, go back. Let's back this up just a hair. And I'll show this off once I heat press it as well. Just a second. Turn the video off, and we'll go back to the print software. So now we're going to go over here on white. All right, so now we've got our M series white. Let me move these keys around so that we go. Okay, we'll put them all like that. Right. Let's get those out of the way. Okay, so now we'll do the white graphics best to start with. This little job. Okay, so in here, there is no white underbase. So we just shaved that entire time of printing an underbase out. So seconds count up to minutes over time, and minutes count up to dollars at the end of the day. So, all right, so now we'll import that same staff graphic. Okay, so let's see how far down that is. So that we got a good accuracy here. I think I'll just leave it right where it is. All right, so let's go ahead and rip it. So we had 7 cents, 5 cents, and then 5 cents. Basically, you weren't putting that much white ink on the shirt to begin with, so that's why it's coming out with about the same amount, because it's just the color going down that you're really pricing out. But if this was a much larger design, like a full color graphic, this would make a huge difference not putting white ink on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the platinum loaded. And I'll switch back on the video here for a second. Print. Stretch the video out for myself. And like I said, if any time you need to ask a question or anything like that, don't hesitate to write it in the questions field. So this is the quality white shirt graphics mode. But the one thing you will notice is how much richer this black looks than when it has the white ink underneath it. Prints pretty damn quick too for a quality mode. Let's see what we got here and see if I can get the lighting right. It even looks a shade darker than the other two. I don't know if y'all can see that on camera. Let's see if I can get it back over here in this light. I'll have to hold it up. All right, let's see. So, it's kind of hard to tell in this lighting. So we can hold it like this to look at it. Let's see here. Okay, so it has almost a grayish tint to it almost, but then down there at the bottom, it is black, like really black. I don't know if y'all can see it. See that kind of gray hue to the one that's above it? And it's a full shade lighter than the bottom one here. All right, so now go ahead and let's do the fast mode on the white shirts. The particular pre-treat that I'm using is a version of the P30i ink pre-treatment. If you have a Viper 2, you're generally using the genuine DTG brand ink, not the P30i. The P30i comes with the M2 standard, but it has different pre-treatments for each different one. So if you are using a Viper 2, just to expand on that, because it's kind of big, the Viper 2 uses genuine DTG inks, so it has a single pre-treatment for the dark garments. All right. So if I was printing with the white underbases, like the first two that were up here, I would have to put that dark garment pre-treatment on there, just like I would a regular black shirt or even colored shirt like that. If I was just doing the third one down, which had no white ink underneath it, I wouldn't pre-treat it at all. So that would not only take your pre-treatment price away, that would also give you more time because it's only doing one pass, and it's much darker and richer on the shirt as well. Okay. For the M2 users with the P30i, you have either a light garment or a dark garment pre-treatment. We have a new pre-treatment that's coming out, and this is probably the first you'll hear of it. It's a complete cotton version, so it's a one pre-treat to do both light color cottons and dark color cottons with one pre-treatment. It does require more pre-treatment to be put on there, but it's going to be lower priced. But yeah, keep in tune with information on Coleman & Company when they release that. And they'll have it on their main page and stuff like that. So something to look forward to. All right. So now we're going to do graphics fast. So this is going to be the same as before. Instead of printing at 1440 by 720, we're going to print at 720 by 720. And then just to show you what the print mode is, I can double click it. 720 by 720 graphic print. So we'll move this down here. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and rip this one. So that first one was 5 cents of 8. This one's going to be 7 cents. That's weird. I might have to get my programmer to check that out. I think he's got a wrong value there. Let's see what we got here. Well, that might not have any prices set up. Let's see what this one is. I want to get them to check that. That's a flaw. Yeah, that's too male. Oops. Okay. Good. And print. Oops, there's a camera back on. That might be helpful. I've seen it before. I don't know how to do that down into the screen. So definitely picked up some print speed here. Platinum advances faster. Okay. So just by looking at that, you can tell the bottom two are a lot darker than the top two. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can face it this way. So that way it gets the light in there. See, it almost looks like a gray hue to it. They're not as deep and black as these are. And this one's freshly printed, so that one looks a little bit darker than this one too. But still very good print. All of them will suffice when it comes to what the end client wants. It's basically how do you optimize getting more bang for your buck, meaning using less ink, because that's money out of your pocket, and using less time to print. So using those smaller print modes and stuff like that, try those things out. It will make a huge difference in your profitability. You will save pennies and dimes and nickels, and a famous old saying, you can't make dollars if you don't make sense. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll take this one off real quick. And I'll kind of show you the difference on a black shirt of reducing the amount of white underneath of what it actually does. Okay, so let's hoop up another black shirt here. Once you've hooped up enough shirts, it becomes second nature. I swear, if I'm in a quiet room, I can still hear a print head sliding back and forth like a whooshing noise. Hear it in my sleep. Okay. Let's go. Let's see what we're going to do here. All right, so let me switch off the camera and go back to my screen now. All right, let's open up. We use Adobe Bridge to look at some graphics here. See if I can find a good example for you. All right, let's see. What's something that's going to show like color and stuff like that? I think here. All right, I'll use my handy dandy frog. It's a longer look. See what it looks like. All right, so we have this. Let's see what we read. Okay, so it's a nice, vibrant graphic, photorealistic. This actually had a big jungle background that I faded away and basically made it stand out on a black background. Pretty neat. It's fun to do. There's tools in the grip software like fluid mask that help you crop things out so you can key to get rid of pixels and things like that, and really fine-tune cropping a piece of art out of another image. All right, move this out of the way. So that one's going to be just a frog PSD. So let's go over here to my dark. Since this image is on a black background, I am going to use my black background hue, which is the black hue. So we'll go over here to that. All right, so let's see what this is. Let's move that. We're going to use this as a little bit more photorealistic, and I'm going to shrink this up so we can print a couple of them, so that way we can kind of see the different settings. So the first two I'm going to do is I'm going to do one in the photo best and then one in the graphics best. And then when we come back, we're going to do the black fast and then black graphics fast. All right, I think that will help us out a little bit more. Get rid of this view so it's not a If you ever don't want any of these cues showing, you just run down here and uncheck them, and then they're gone. They're still there, but they just don't get listed. It makes it less confusing for people sometimes. Okay, so we have our best. Let's go here, go up, measure YouTube, same for YouTube. Let's do one little floppy here. Shrink this up a little bit. And I'm going to rotate this. Since we're doing 4 of them, let's rotate. It's 270. We're doing PH. All right, put this one up here, snap this corner. All right, so while this one gets spooled up, so this is an 8x6 or 6x8. Let's rip this one real quick. Might have a little overlap in this image, but it'll be all right. All right, so 29 cents for that. Let's go to the black fast now. Okay, same thing. Rotate it. 6. This corner. Go ahead and rip that one as well. Try to make sure we do it right. No, we got to do that one again. So that way everything's on the same page. $139. Once again, this is the Pro Package pricing. If you need more information on that, please contact Coleman & Company or your salesperson. Let me see what this is. Yeah, that was right. Here, try to sell it. All right, now we'll rip it. Okay, so 18 cents for the fast one, 29 cents for the best one. That's considerable if you're doing like a bunch of shirts. So do the math if this is a bigger design. So if you've got like almost a third of the difference in price, that really adds up. And then we'll compare the difference after they print. Okay? So just to see the settings in here, you just check them. So we have, I'm printing at 90% ink, chokes at like an 8, probably that's a little hot, but it'll be fine. I don't have any really thin characters. We're not putting any white under black because it knocks the black out, so that's fine. Color layer is fine, because it's just going to put a little bit of highlight on there. What a highlight is, and the only reason none of these other settings make any difference because highlight is checked. It's basically a highlight turns on whiting during the color pass. All right, so it just hits those visibly white areas, just a little spot of white, to kind of compensate for lower underbase receiving. Okay, we'll click OK on that. Let's look what this is. Overrides, layer profiles. This one is set for 100% because it's printing at 720. My color layer, same with highlight, that's fine. All right. So that's those two. Let's go to the graphics best. So these will probably be a little bit more expensive just because they are the best, are the graphics because they saturate a little bit more. Okay. Let me make sure our pricing is right. It is. Let's go ahead and import that. Audio is a little bit fuzzy. Let's see. So let me just move this a little bit closer. Hopefully that's better. All right, so we're going to rotate this. We've got one at 8 by 6 as well. Drag this one to the bottom corner. And we'll go ahead and rip it. And you can always do this when you first get an image. It behooves you to go through and try to optimize your printing. Okay. There's also little things that you can do, like up in your cues, where you have wizards set up. I don't think this one's. I don't know if they're all. Yeah, right here. Set maximum white ink. That's how you define what setting is my max white ink. Should I print it at 80%, 90%, 100%? This will do little rows and columns of them, and you can choose. Setting up the black removal, or what the not be blackout is set up for. And then whatever queue you're in, that's what it does the setups for. Black removal, how much light under black, setting the white choke, and colors. So those are little setup wizards that you can run at any time on a particular image to optimize it for the best output, especially if you're doing like your own clothing line or something like that. All right, so from this best, 29.17, 29.68. Not much difference. All right, let's do one more. We'll be fine. Let's go ahead and import it. And we'll print all 4 of these at once. Okay. Oops, I did 2 at the same by accident. Oh, let me show you if you ever do that by accident. Somewhere in your 2 fingers. It's a little tip or trick, a little tip. Goes fine. So if you accidentally have the wrong template selected, all I have to do is drag this down here to the bottom. Okay. And then choose the other template. And when I drag it back up, now it's only 1. cool little trick. That way you have to get rid of it, re-import it. All right, so let's see, rotate. And before, all right, so we've got 4 different versions of this same frog on the shirt. Let's see what they all look like. Let's go ahead and rip this one. So this one went down to 19, black fast was 18. So you got a little bit more coloring going on this one. All right, so let's see. The first is first. Let's do the graphic best. All right, let's switch up the camera. Great, and then we will hit print. Oops, gotta do my key settings real quick. Sorry. Yeah, one, yes. The error, and there we go. Any questions in the meantime while this is printing? Now, is everybody understanding everything? So that's good. So this is a 1440 by 1440 underbase with a 1440 by 720 underbase with a 1440 by 720 color kit. Both of the best ones that I did that will be on this side of the shirt will have 90% ink, max ink printing for the best cues. 100% sometimes makes it puddle too much. And then it doesn't have time to congeal enough for the colored ink to go down, and you get all kinds of murky, blurry, kind of washed out looking print. All right, you see that? Might be a little bit wet. We'll find out. If it was just a little bit wet, what I would personally do is to take my lighting down from 90% down to maybe even 80%. And if that's not enough, bump it up to about 85. Or vice versa, go down to 70. Just because it's at 100% doesn't even mean that it needs to be at 100%. Remember, the least amount of ink that you can put on your garment is more money that you're going to be making on that individual garment. So this particular color mode is the photo vest. And if it's confusing, you can always go in when you double click your keypad and you say you're in the black vest queue, you can go up there where it has the name. When you click in the key properties, you can go up there and change the name to, like, say, black photo vest or black photo color. So that way you get the differentiation. This queue is for photorealistic colors. This queue is for graphics grid colors, like cartoony type stuff, or large solid blocks of color, that kind of thing. And which one works best for what? Personal preference. That's one thing you can never teach is taste. So if you like the way it looks in one, sometimes it might look better in the other. It's just one of those that you're going to have to print it to see which one looks better. Okay. So let's see what this one looks like. So this was the photo vest. Looks like a little frog sitting on the shirt. All right. There we go. Gotta get the colors right. So let's go ahead and load this sucker back in. We'll do the next one in line. Let's do the two fast ones next. Let's do the black fast, which is the photo fast. Go ahead and hit print. Might have worked out perfectly with the overlap. So definitely it's printing the underbase a little bit faster. See it scanning through. But one of the biggest things is the ability to reduce the amount of white ink, which is your max ink percentage in the underbase setting, is if you don't have visible white ink in it, like in all different colors or something like that, sometimes you really don't need a really solid underbase underneath it because there's just color going on top of it. So you're not going to see that the white, if you can see through the white. Because we've all seen, like, if we don't, like, say we use like a speed mode underbase, and you can see the fabric through the white ink. It's like it's not completely covering it, and then it doesn't look like a solid white. It looks kind of grainy, like sort of in the ColDesi logo. I'll show you the difference once it finishes printing this. So you can definitely tell in the color, they don't pop as much. But if I cover up the first one, you won't even know. So if you do that fast print, and you're like, ooh, they look cool. I get that all the time. So if I get a, ooh, that looks cool, then I'm going to sell it. I don't want to work on it. I don't want to pay more money to get somebody else to do it. That would pay the exact same price for one printed at fast versus the fast. I'm going to turn this here to straight to the depth. You can pick a little different thing. All right. So next we have the other two. I'm going to do the fast one first. Go back over here. All right. So this was the one for 19 cents. Let's go put it back in. I like to turn green. And so this is going to be the graphics file. Okay, almost there. So definitely the fast modes are printing a hell of a lot quicker than quality modes or best modes. But this is a perfect example. But if you go with you put more ink down with the best mode or quality mode, and you put less ink down with fast mode, but you also pick up the time. So it depends on what the end client really wants when it comes down to it. These fast modes look great to them. Really say it doesn't. All right, we can get back over here, set up the black wrap set. And we'll put some notes. No problem, Deborah. That's what we're here for. If there's ever any other demonstrations or certain topics that you want to hear about, feel free to shoot us a line, and you can go to our CAS Facebook group and ask questions there through some of our other users and things like that. But just like any time, basically take advice with a grain of salt, especially if it's something that could damage something. Definitely talk to a tech before you take user advice. You know what I mean? All right, so last but not least, let's go ahead and get this loaded again. All right, and okay, yeah, after this print, I'll do a little wrap up on this. I'll definitely display it so that way y'all can kind of see the difference, and then call this up to the okay. But you can even tell just by the speed of the head and the speed of the platen going out, it's definitely a little bit slower. But you also get a lot better coverage of ink too. So it's the balance of time and money. I couldn't particularly do it with this piece of artwork because it's built to blend into a black background. But on certain artwork, say I was printing to a color shirt or something to that order, then it will definitely, you can definitely reduce the lighting down by using the fast modes, and it will still look nice and vivid and pop off that shirt because it's not, the white's purpose underneath the color is to block the underneath color out and to be able to help the light reflect through the color so that way you see it and it pops and it looks good. These guys almost look three-dimensional. You get close to it. So definitely this is going to be the best looking out of all of them. Just because of the type image, it's a real vibrant type of dog, so the color is supposed to pop on it, even though it's technically a picture. But if I wanted it photorealistic to look like the photo that I got it from, then yeah, I would use that photo mode. But yeah, just comparing the two next to each other, yeah, the graphics mode definitely looks like it's got a little bit more saturation, a little bit more vibrancy, things like that. So, like I said, personal preference. And if you do have any like really specific questions or want me to take a look at some artwork, what you can do is create a support ticket on our support site, or you can call into the front desk and talk to our new level receptionist, Jarvis, and he can get you squared away and get them to all the right questions and everything, and we can get those answered as quickly as possible. Yeah, like I always say, you never hesitate to ask a question. There are no stupid questions. We do not laugh at you on the phone. We at least wait to hang up. Okay, so let's take a look at this final print here. We'll compare these. So, you really can't tell that much difference. So let's see if I push this in a little bit and tilt it. There we go. Which one's which? Okay. They all look about the same on camera, but if you're standing right up on top of them, the orange is a little bit brighter in these two, the quality modes, right? They really kind of like it's a bold orange, whereas this is a little bit more muted, and that's a little bit more saturated than this one. But if I stand back from this more than about 2 feet, I really can look at this and be like, they look almost identical. Now, the one thing that I do notice is in the visibly white areas, like the ColDesi logo and stuff like that, it definitely looks a lot bolder for the white than it does down here on the fast modes, right? And I can't really get that on camera per se. It's just the way the camera works. It's kind of oversaturating stuff. Okay, but take my word for it, right? But something that could compensate for that is your highlights. So for these speed modes, what you can do is make sure on the color layer, you can, oh here, I'll just show you. I'll leave the easy way. Go ahead and turn the camera off here. So inside the grip software, say I'm in my graphics basket. I would double click the Q tab to change my properties of every graphic that comes into it. All right, so I show processing options under layer profiles. And as you can see a little bit better. But I will click over here on my color layer. All right, and I'll make sure that the white is highlighted, not mixed. And come down here for these. So, like there's 1% ink print. 14, a little bit more. So between 14 and 19, this is where the visibly white areas, that's where it's going to hit it with another little percentage of ink to kind of compensate for the smaller underneath. Okay. So I hope this webinar was informative as well as lengthy. But yeah, if you have any further questions on this, like I said, don't ever hesitate to create a support ticket or call into our front desk. We'll be glad to help you out and explain these things in detail. If you are having a specific problem with a specific graphic, when you create that ticket, take pictures of what your shirt looks like after it's printed, what the graphic looks like, or what it's supposed to look like, And also include a nozzle check. Every time that you try to create a ticket and you're having print quality issues, always include a current nozzle check when you create that ticket. So that way the technician knows what's going on when he gives you a call. It speeds up the whole process.